Tonight, not seen since World War II. America torpedoes an Iranian warship and declares the country toast. Back in each other's arms. High emotion as the first flight out of Dubai lands in Sydney. Two teenagers chased by police smash into a semi-trailer at Tregear. Kyle Sandilands breaks cover for the first time since his bosses pulled the plug. Sky falls in for Nathan Cleary on the eve of the Panthers' season opener. And they spent the week in a legal stoush over Zach Lomax. Tonight the Eels and Storm go head-to-head on the football field.
This is 9 News with Peter Overton.
Good evening. For the first time since World War II, the United States has launched a torpedo to sink an enemy warship. The attack on the Iranian vessel off Sri Lanka's coast killed 87 people, leaving 32 survivors. It's a dramatic escalation of the war. Iran's foreign minister warning America will bitterly regret the precedent it set. Nine's Europe correspondent Mimi Becker begins our coverage from Tel Aviv.
Modern warfare through the eyes of a periscope. The IRIS Dina warship locked in, then in pieces. A quiet death followed by a loud victory lap.
They are toast, and they know it.
9 News can reveal there were 2 Australians on board the US submarine that launched the hit. The IRIS Dina is the largest of more than 20 ships from the Iranian regime that US forces have struck, all sunk. And the Pentagon claims Iran's ballistic missile strikes are down 86% from the first day of fighting.
America is winning, decisively, devastatingly, and without mercy.
Somebody said, on a scale of 10, where would you rate it? I said about a 15.
The Commander-in-Chief doubling down, maintaining that the US had 2 weeks to destroy a nuclear threat.
When crazy people have nuclear weapons, bad things happen.
Israel continued its air offensive in Tehran. Those who can flee through neighbouring Armenia.
Everybody in Iran, they are afraid.
They are so brave. They want to end this regime.
Suran Edgar's sister is in Tehran. Overnight, she sent him a very emotional voice note, saying the attacks were non-stop and very close to where she lives.
She told me not to let her daughter return to Iran because it's simply too dangerous right now for them.
In Lebanon, the IDF took aim at what it says were Hezbollah targets in Beirut and deployed troops in the south. In a matter of hours, tens of thousands were uprooted.
Families left behind their homes, all their belongings and their sense of normalcy.
The displaced spending the night in public squares or seeking shelter in empty schools. This war continues to bleed over borders. Baghdad was engulfed in darkness after a power cut, missiles landing in Syria becoming a makeshift playground. And while it appears Iran's return fire is depleted, the threats have not disappeared. Hospitals moving their operations underground, like the Creedon Health Service.
So here are all the very, very ill patients of the hospital, which we should provide them continuously the best care, even under war.
The youngest little lives protected. Gal Al-Azir's baby boy was born on the day of the first strikes.
We chose the name Shalev, which is mean peaceful. We hope he will bring us peace and quietness, and he will be the antithesis of this situation.
These little people have joined us in the world at a time which they have not chosen, but we have to be sure that we give them a safe place.
In underground shelters across Tel Aviv, people and puppies wait for a missile threat to subside. Among them, Hosro Namati, an Iranian-American in Israel.
And I'm so glad it's happened. This regime is going out. This is my dream.
So are you happy that the Israelis and US have struck Iran and started this war?
Yes, we are very happy. They did the best.
In Tel Aviv, Mimi Becker, 9 News.
And Mimi Becker is live for us in Tel Aviv. Mimi, despite the extraordinary events that are unfolding, life is starting to return to some semblance of normal.
Pete, schools will remain closed, but groups of up to 50 people will soon be allowed to gather, and people are also being permitted to return to work if it's in a protected environment. It's perhaps a sign that Israel is comfortable with its position in this conflict, despite Iran warning there will be repercussions for that torpedo attack. The IDF has already said this morning it's launched another wave of missiles towards Tehran. Pete?
Mimi Becker in Tel Aviv, thank you. NATO has shot down an Iranian missile fired towards Turkey as the potential for more nations to be drawn into the conflict rises. It comes as a bid to rein in Trump's war powers was blocked by the US Senate.
The Iran war spreading to a NATO nation. A ballistic missile fired by the Islamic regime downed by the alliance's air defences just before entering Turkish airspace. The retaliation as Donald Trump's campaign carries on, and it could now last for 8 weeks.
Death and destruction from the sky all day long. We're playing for keeps.
The US Senate blocking a bid to rein in the US president's war powers. Political support on the home front for now. Allies across the Atlantic more uncertain.
Is your special relationship with President Trump dead, Prime Minister?
The British Prime Minister lashed by Trump, who claimed a lack of cooperation.
This is not Winston Churchill that we're dealing with.
Hanging on to President Trump's latest words is not the special relationship.
Sir Keir Starmer says fighter jets have flown to the region and helicopters with anti-drone capabilities will be there soon. The Spanish Prime Minister unequivocal, despite threats to end trade. No to the war, he says. 23 years ago, another US administration dragged us into a war in the Middle East. Those words not clear enough for the White House.
And it's my understanding over the past several hours they've agreed to cooperate with the US military.
The Spanish Foreign Minister says that's not true. The German army also won't be participating in the war. History teaches us that starting wars is much easier than ending them, the country's defence minister says. Here at Portsmouth Harbour, the Royal Navy is preparing HMS Dragon to be deployed to Cyprus in the coming days. The destroyer taking on ammunition here and units capable of firing 8 missiles in 10 seconds. Greece sending warships and fighter jets there too, a defensive deployment to protect their own assets. In the United Kingdom, Hannah Sinclair, 9 News.
They've waited for days and finally Australians stranded in the Middle East have escaped the conflict zone and arrived back on home soil. The first flight out of Dubai had 200 people on board, with another 3 planes still to come, including one due in this evening.
A wartime evacuation and home never felt so good.
Yeah, she's back!
The arrival hall at Sydney Airport overflowing with relief and joy for loved ones who've been trapped for 5 days in an unfolding battle.
Just I'm worried about her to get back home, and that's it.
In our family, it's the happiest days in our life,
exactly.
Having her back.
The lucky 200 people were on the first repatriation flight out of Dubai to Australia.
14 Super Sydney Tower, good evening and welcome back. It has been a moment.
Thanks to Emirates for getting us home on this flight. What was touchdown? Everyone was cheering and clapping. Quite emotional, yeah. Glad to be home.
And that's understandable. It was as if everyone had their own story of being caught up in a war.
The booms and the booms, sirens went off, and you look in the sky and all these missiles, the fiery trails are coming, and everybody starts freaking.
Professional tennis player James McCabe was in the middle of a match.
Yesterday a drone hit probably 10 minutes from where we were playing, and the oil factory was going up in smoke and we were right next to it, so it was a bit scary.
A group of students from Sydney's Barker College were en route to Turkey for a robotics competition.
Some of them have seen some things that we need to talk to them a bit about, some debriefing. We'll do that. But in the meantime, we just rejoice that they're home safe.
For Philip Vins, the fear factor haunted him to the end.
There were still explosions happening around 10 p.m. as we actually get into the airport.
Mum, how are you feeling as well? Oh, I'm so relieved. I'm so happy to have him home.
And there were Americans and Canadians on board, so desperate to get out, it didn't matter where they ended up.
I kept booking flights. This one actually went through, so thank you, Australia.
But for some, it came at a huge cost.
More than $100,000 to get back home.
The US, yeah. We're not done yet.
And as many watched the war play out from their hotel rooms or on the streets, they marvelled at the UAE's defence system.
They were really good, they intercepted a lot, and as scary as it is, you somewhat felt safe in a way.
Last night's scenes are expected to be repeated here this evening as another repatriation flight is bound for Sydney. An Operation Bring Them Home is cranking up. At least 2 more plane loads tomorrow, including one to Melbourne. And it was just in time for bride-to-be Alessandra Fiscaldo.
Mixture of emotions. We felt quite safe overall, but we're getting married next week, so finally we can make that wedding.
Damien Ryan, 9 News.
Amidst global uncertainty, Canada's Prime Minister has arrived in Canberra to forge a middle power alliance. In an historic address to Parliament, Mark Carney claimed a new partnership was necessary to protect against increasingly volatile superpowers like China, Russia and the United States.
Weapons of war at a time of unrest. Canada's Prime Minister given a welcome fit for a president as he questions whether the president is fit for the alliance. Addressing a joint session of Parliament with a new plan for a joint future.
2 sovereign nations, 2 proud democracies, the true north and the land down under, navigating with the same values.
Values from trade to technology, the military to mining.
Together we produce 1/3 of global lithium, 1/3 of global uranium, 40% of iron ore. In fairness, that's largely you.
Signing a new deal for critical minerals, a foundation for a new partnership of middle powers to stand up to the might of China and the United States.
When we work together, it is on the basis of our shared convictions, not mutual convenience.
The rules-based international order has been exposed as wishful thinking of a bygone and benign era.
The visit comes at a time of great change for Canada. Prime Minister Carney pivoting away from his nearest neighbour in America and to like-minded friends around the globe.
The world will always be driven by great powers, but it can also be shaped by middle powers that trust each other and act with speed and purpose.
Prime Minister Carney, you spoke a lot about trust in your speech. Do you trust Donald Trump? And can Australia trust Donald Trump?
We need to build on what we have in order to re-establish that trust commercially.
The Carney plan to include Europe, India and Japan.
When the rules no longer protect you, you must defend yourself.
Charles Croucher, 9 News.
2 teenagers are under police guard in hospital tonight and lucky to be alive after ploughing into a truck at Tregear during an alleged joyride in a stolen car. They'd been flying through the city's west trying to outrun police.
Midday on Hatherton Road, a white sedan comes racing down, closely tailed by 2 police cars. Then, just seconds later, the car clipping a bus before it was taken out by a semi-trailer as it tried to turn. Behind the wheel, a 17-year-old driver and her 16-year-old passenger.
Yeah, it was a solid bang.
Phoenix Sparks witnessed it all unfold as he waited for the bus.
2 cop cars and a little white Mazda come flying past me.
It all started around midday when the Hyundai was reported stolen from a car park at Blacktown Hospital. Then, 10 minutes later, police spotted it along Francis Road at Rooty Hill. When it didn't stop, a pursuit was sparked, continuing all the way to Tregear.
I come up and I had a look.
What could you see at that moment?
Just carnage.
Miraculously, the 2 teenagers were largely unharmed, taken to hospital under police guard.
The young boy was laying down, kind of wiggling around, holding his stomach.
The driver of the truck also transported for testing. This car is now being taken away for further forensic examination, and it'll no doubt form a central part of this police investigation. As for the teens, tonight they're awaiting charges. 9 News understands the 16-year-old had recently been discharged from a mental health facility. Massilia Eiley, 9 News.
We have pictures just into the newsroom now, and Kyle Sandilands has been seen for the first time since his high-profile radio breakup with Jackie O. Kyle left his Vaucluse home in a Mercedes four-wheel drive this afternoon, and on his return was asked about his future.
Do you think you and Jackie can fix this at all? Have you been able to speak to Jackie, Kyle? Are you confident you can rectify the situation, Kyle? Is this curtains, Kyle?
Kiss FM suspended Mr Sandilands for serious misconduct after Jackie O told the station she could no longer work with him. The former chief executive and top lawyer at Star Casino have been found to have broken the law by failing to act on money laundering and criminal red flags. They now face fines of up to $1 million, while the case against 7 others has been thrown out.
Not quite a clean sweep, but it's game over for the former king and queen of Star Casino. Ex-CEO Matt Beckier and General Counsel Paula Martin found to have breached corporate duties by failing to act on suspicious activity by the world's largest gambling junket. Members of Sun City caught on CCTV at Piermont stuffing suspected dirty cash into bags. The Chinese group spending $5.9 billion at Star in 2019. Justice Michael Lee declaring the alarm bells were ringing, unimpressed by Beckier's explanation in the federal court.
Unconvincing, contradictory, and on occasion highly improbable. Ms Martin was an unimpressive witness, and I hesitate in accepting any testimony by her unless it's corroborated by other evidence I accept.
It was also found both executives sat idly by with knowledge Chinese bank cards were being used for gambling under the guise of hotel expenses. The corporate watchdog claimed 2 major scalps, but it wasn't a royal flush. 7 others, including the former chair and directors, were cleared of any wrongdoing.
This was an important case for ASIC to take, given the concerns we had with how Star was managing its affairs.
Beckier and Martin now face leadership bans and fines of up to $1 million. Tiffany Genders, 9 News.
All right, let's get our first check of the day's weather. Good evening, Kate.
Hi, Pete. It was a mild and muggy day, but we didn't see much rain after those storms last night. Bankstown picking up 29 millimetres, 14 millimetres falling in just 10 minutes, while 22 millimetres was recorded at Lucas Heights. Today, temperatures were above average, the city reaching 29.5 and 30.8 in our west. But the humidity has been oppressive. The dew point, which measures the moisture in the air, hit 23.5 this afternoon. And while it's not uncommon to have these muggy days towards the end of summer, the March average is closer to 15 degrees. We may have to endure these sticky conditions a little longer, but relief is on the way. I'll have the forecast after sport. Pete.
Kate, thank you. 3 times just this week, fire shuts down the light rail, crippling the morning commute through the CBD. A new scam targeting certain Sydney communities, victims losing tens of thousands. A 16-year-old, one of 2 teens accused of kidnapping an elderly woman from her Cabramatta home. Big Brother in the bathroom, a Sydney private school taking drastic action. And Trailblazer, our state's Woman of the Year, revealed. Transport unions are calling for an urgent investigation after the 3rd fire on a Sydney tram within a week. The morning commute thrown into turmoil when the roof of the carriage started smouldering, stopping services for hours.
8:20 a.m. and the commute to work for many derailed. Passengers stranded at a light rail stop outside Central Station after a tram caught alight.
We believe the batteries has caught fire.
passengers reportedly alerting the driver after smelling smoke. Everyone safely evacuated, but the L2 and L3 lines closed for hours.
We come out of our hotel and we had our big cases and they said it wasn't working.
Just said, cancelled.
Operator Transdev admitting it's the third fire on one of its trams this week, using the temporary closure to complete a risk assessment, declaring it safe for services to resume just after lunch. But the union wants answers, and there's one area they want to hone in on.
Wiring on these trams are European. We would encourage the regulators to have a look at it and make sure that the wiring isn't deteriorating in the Australian conditions.
The Rail Tram and Bus Union is also calling for all trams to be fitted out with the same fire safety features as Sydney buses, including fire suppression technology and a better alarm system, which might have alerted the driver involved today sooner.
There was around that minute and a half period where he didn't have any knowledge of it.
Transdev confirming the tram impacted this morning has been taken out of service for a full examination. Elizabeth Bryan, 9 News.
A 16-year-old has been arrested over the alleged abduction of a 72-year-old woman in Cabramatta last year. Police claim 5 offenders entered her home in November, 3 of whom were carrying firearms before detaining her for 2 days. An 18-year-old man from West Kempsey was charged and refused bail over the incident last month, while a 16-year-old boy was arrested in Cartwright overnight and faced children's court earlier today. The former Jetstar pilot accused of killing missing camper Carol Clay in Victoria's High Country will stay in jail after his bid for freedom was refused. Publicity about his life before the case and likely further delays were among the many reasons his lawyer argued he should be freed, telling the court his chance at a fair retrial had been obliterated. Lynn is expected to appear in court again in July. A private school on Sydney's Upper North Shore is putting policing above privacy, installing CCTV outside their bathrooms to curb antisocial behaviour. Some parents have raised concerns about the invasion of privacy, but experts argue cameras can be a valuable safety tool.
St Leo's Catholic College, now the backdrop for Big Brother Bathroom Edition. The private co-ed high school at Wahroonga now tracking when students use the toilet during class time with CCTV cameras installed outside bathrooms.
If they're outside, they're covering the playground, it's a public area, I don't have a problem.
The toilet tracking trial also triggering real-time updates. Each time a student enters or exits a bathroom during class, their parents receive a notification. The new policy hoped to stamp out vandalism and poor decision-making. The school's latest newsletter reading, "The intent of the alert system is not to police normal behaviour, but to strengthen our partnership with parents where patterns may emerge. This is a trial. We will review the process and discuss it further."
It was a waste of my time receiving these emails while I'm at work myself. And I also think that it's not great for my child's well-being for this to be monitored and for him to feel shamed when he just needs to go to the bathroom.
Parents say the trial follows repeated smoking and vaping by some students in bathrooms, a concerning trend according to the school, plus vandalism, including wet toilet paper on ceilings and toilet doors taken off their hinges.
The real purpose they're using them for is to protect their property, because that's what CCTV cameras are used in school for, not to protect the kids, but to protect property.
More than half of New South Wales schools use CCTV for security and safety. Experts in favour when installed for the right reasons.
It would actually make people pause and think, I'm being watched, and makes people act in a more responsible way.
Hayley Francis, 9 News.
Drug drivers could be allowed behind the wheel. Major changes on the cards to road safety rules. Also coming up, claims the United States military is fast running out of missiles. Brett McLeod will explain. Spotted in St Mary's, the man police are hunting over a random bus stop attack. The closest of calls, a man in a terrifying lift malfunction. And slip, slop, success. How the long campaign has been a lifesaver for younger generations. As the Middle East conflict escalates, the US and Gulf allies could run short of air defence interceptors. With Iran's production far outstripping Western resupply, the region's protective shield is rapidly nearing breaking point.
Various systems, the US Patriot and THAAD systems, and Israel's Iron Dome have provided a defensive shield from Iranian missile attacks around the Gulf. It's been likened to hitting a bullet with a bullet, except the missiles are faster than any bullet. And it's 85 to 90% effective, although debris from missiles shot down can still be deadly. But just days into the war, air defence stocks are running low. It's estimated the US has been burning through a year's supply of THAAD missiles every 12 to 18 hours. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio said Iran was producing more than 100 ballistic missiles a month. That's 10 times the number of interceptor missiles the US can build. And it's expensive. A suicide drone can cost Iran $25,000 to make. A Patriot missile to take it out, $4 million. A military doctrine says 2 defensive missiles are fired to ensure the attack is neutralised. It's been likened to using a Lamborghini to stop a lawnmower. Donald Trump claims the US has an endless supply of munitions, yet America has started moving air defence systems from Asia to the Middle East. That's why it's targeting Iranian launch systems, as missile experts say the UAE and Qatar could run out of stocks within days.
Thank you, Brett. Alex Rivchin of the Executive Council of Australian Jewry has briefed officials in Washington on the Bondi Beach terror attack and the rise of anti-Semitism in Australia. The Jewish leader also publicly backed the US strikes on Iran.
I think it's clear that Iran is not entering into negotiations in good faith. It's not interested in abandoning its nuclear aspirations or its regional designs, and so the military option seems to be the only one.
Mr Rivchin said he would like to see a new leader who respects the rights of citizens. A date has been set for a by-election in Farrer, Susan Lee's former electorate. One Nation is expected to be competitive for the traditionally Liberal seat, though all the candidates are yet to be finalised. Voters in southwestern New South Wales will head to the polls on Saturday, May the 9th. Drivers who test positive for medicinal cannabis could soon be free to get behind the wheel as State Cabinet considers major changes to road safety rules. The Premier pointing to a high uptake of prescriptions to justify a shake-up of roadside testing protocols.
A legal prescription that makes it illegal to drive.
When I got prescribed medicinal cannabis to assist with insomnia, I was told by the doctor that I can't drive anymore.
But police at roadside stops could soon give medicinal cannabis users a green light.
We are considering changes to the law. We're seeing hundreds of thousands of people accessing it, and that we think we need a fit-for-purpose regime on New South Wales roads.
The Premier's Drug Summit recommended a medical defence for drivers, pointing to Tasmania, where valid prescription holders who test positive but appear unimpaired are free to go.
Can stay in saliva for days after use, well outside what research shows is the impairment window for cannabis.
We think that this law should apply to people who are driving personal motor vehicles, not commercial vehicle operators.
But there are concerns with close to a quarter of fatal crashes involving a drugged driver.
It is a risk. We can't get the road toll down as it is.
Cabinet will decide on the new laws in the near future, but today, with an election looming, it was the Premier's future called into question.
I won't be here, at least in this role.
Having ruled out a ribbon cutting in 2032.
I'm sure lots of your colleagues heard you say it and immediately started to hit the phones.
I don't know, but if we were to win, well, I'd love to serve a full term.
A Premier's time in the chair is always finite. Liz Daniels, 9 News.
Police wish to speak to this man for assistance with their investigation into the assault of an elderly couple at St Mary's. A 79-year-old woman and 78-year-old man suffered minor injuries after being attacked at a bus stop on Charles Hackett Drive on Australia Day. Dramatic footage has emerged of the moment a man leaps out of a moving elevator before it continues surging past the floor. The malfunction unfolding at Valsad in India, where the man narrowly escaped, believed to have walked away with minor head injuries. After decades of keeping kids and families informed, the Slip Slop Slap campaign has been hailed a roaring success. An Australian study revealing sun-smart children are now 4 times less likely to develop skin cancer.
A slogan we know and trust. Slip, slop, slap. The Sun Safety campaign was created in 1981 with the help of researchers.
Slip on a shirt, slop on sunscreen.
The whole community knew that jingle.
Now it's been scientifically proven to have had a positive influence. A QAMR Berghofer study tracking mole development in children under 12 between 1992 and 2016 found kids today are developing 50% fewer moles.
This halving of mole count over that period projects into a 75% reduction in melanoma rate. Brisbane used to have the dubious distinction of being the world capital for melanoma, and if we can achieve this reduction, we can hand that title on to someone else.
Now 43 years old, Kate and her twin brothers were among 4,000 participants in the study.
My parents were very into Slip Slop Slap, and that was a big campaign that we had on TV.
There are concerns with the rise in tanning culture in teens and young adults that sun safety may be slipping amongst the next generation. The study reinforces the importance of UV protection, especially in the early years of life.
We have really good sun-smart schools. We have no hat, no play. It gets harder to do in high school and adolescence, so there's still work to be done there.
Josephine Shannon, 9 News.
Next in 9 News, the cruel scam targeting Sydney residents. That story coming up. Plus, Australian First, the tool helping to detect breast cancer risk. A shock on the home front for Nathan Cleary. Those stories after sport with James. Now you're back on Australian soil. I don't know where you are. No, I know where you are. And so is rugby league.
Hello, Pete. Good to see you. Still from afar, though. After all that hype from Vegas, we're in Melbourne tonight with the Eels taking on the Storm. Coming up, Andrew Johns will preview the clash, which features young gun Jonah Pezzett taking on his former club. Also this evening, coat hopper Joseph Swali's strong thoughts on Zach Lomax's potential switch to rugby union. Plus, will there be tears as the curtain comes down on the cricket career of Elisa Healy?
And I think we've all had enough of the hot and humid conditions, but the good news is there is a cool southerly on the way. I'll let you know when it will arrive shortly.
Well, they spent the week fighting a legal battle over Zach Lomax. Tonight, the Eels and Storm do battle on the football field in the first match of the season on Australian soil. Andrew Johns joins us now. Evening to you, Joey.
Hey, Brace.
So the footy is back in Australia, and so too is Jonah Pezzett, this time, though, against his old team.
Yeah, exciting times for Parramatta. Him and Mitchell Moses in the halves. Spoke to them in the off-season. They said they've been training really well together. So, yeah, really exciting times. We all know Jonah Pezzett is a boom young half. So, exciting times for Parramatta fans.
A lot of doubt around some of the casualties in the Melbourne Storm this year with what's happened in the off-season. For Parramatta, though, huge promise at the back end of last year. Can they carry it into 26?
I think so. I think if you look at the season, I think they'll be the most improved team. I reckon if that man on screen, Mitchell Moses, plays most of the games, I think they'll make the 8. They're on the up and up. As you said, last year they finished so well, beat a couple of the high-flying teams, especially my Knights. So, yeah, looks good for the Eels.
Mid-20s here tonight, sunny skies. You expecting plenty of points for the first game?
I think so. It's a dry surface, so, yeah, plenty of points. I think you've got to score more than 24 points tonight to win.
All right, thank you, Andrew. See you sideline.
See you, mate.
Joey joining us here ahead of a big night. Now, meantime, Joseph Swali backs Zach Lomax to make a successful switch to rugby union should the exiled NRL star sign with Rugby Australia. But Swali's endorsement comes with a warning. The winger might not find the transition as easy as he thinks.
Two of rugby's brightest talents promoting tomorrow night's Waratahs Hurricanes clash, but all the talk in the union and league world centres on Zach Lomax.
He's a special player. You've seen what he's done in league. I think a lot of rugby people would love for him to come across.
The more quality players we have in rugby union, the better, so why not?
Lomax meeting with Rugby Australia officials yesterday, his potential signing endorsed by a former Blues teammate today.
Well, Zach has the aerial ability. He can kick a ball. He's strong. He's fast. He's a very good rugby league player. and I'm sure that, if he wants to come across, he'd be a very good rugby player as well.
Leaving league less than 18 months ago, Joseph Swali'i has learned firsthand how hard it is to cross codes.
I think people compare it, coming from league to union, it's a whole different game. You've got to learn to break down. I'm still learning, I'm still growing each day.
One of Zach's agents, Steve Gillis, is chasing answers before his client makes the switch.
We've got to find out, how keen they are, what they can offer. But looking to the future, World Cup coming up and all those things. And there's overseas options in rugby.
As for a rugby league return,
the door's still ajar here in the NRL. So there's so many more chapters to be written in this story.
Ryan Madison is fuming. He's been portrayed as the main reason Lomax's move to Melbourne fell through. The Eels forward saying, "I was not part of these negotiations, yet it seems I am the one being held responsible for the outcome. I was the last to know and the first to be blamed." Rugby bound next year, Angus Crichton's move off limits for Roosters coach Trent Robinson.
No, it's pretty clear Angus is focused on this season, and we've all got things that we want to do next year, but all that's in our sights is tomorrow night. And Gussie is all in, like he has been every year that he's played.
Zach Bailey, 9 News.
Michael Maguire believes Mitch Barnett is the man to fill the void of Payne Haas when he leaves the Broncos. The Brisbane coach flew to Sydney to meet with the Warriors star, who he coached in Origin back in 2024.
Yeah, I met with him. I talked to a lot of the players that I've coached over time, and he's one of them too. He's got great character and obviously my style of player.
Maguire says Haas still loves the Broncos despite signing with South Sydney. A sold-out SCG will be rocking tonight as the Swans open the AFL season against Carlton. Despite complaints from Victorian supporters, Giants captain Toby Green says the competition's opening round, featuring 4 matches in New South Wales and Queensland, is an important concept for the code.
Yeah, I reckon it's great. It's rugby league started last week with a bang. I think it's a great way to start the AFL season, give those northern states a chance to get some attention and grow the game.
The Giants face Hawthorn on Saturday afternoon. Alyssa Healy isn't expecting to shed any tears when her outstanding cricket career comes to an end after the Test match against India, which begins at the Wacker in Perth tomorrow.
I genuinely don't think there'll be any sadness, and that's not anything to do with cricket. I'm just really excited for, life after cricket, and I'm really grateful for the experience that I've had so far.
Meantime, New Zealand is through to the final of the T20 World Cup. Finn Allen's World Cup record 100 off 33 balls, guiding the Kiwis to an easy win over South Africa. Now they'll play either India or England in the decider. The on-track action has begun here at Albert Park ahead of Sunday's Australian Formula One Grand Prix in Melbourne. The supercars were the first to start their engines. Brodie Kostecki winning his first race of the season, beating home Matt Payne and Brock Feeney on an all-Ford podium. Lowly Nottingham Forest has put a dent in Manchester City's title hopes, holding the Premier League powerhouse to a draw. Elliot Anderson's 76-minute strike levelling the scores at 2 apiece, and it leaves City 7 points behind Arsenal on the ladder after the Gunners benefited from some bumbling goalkeeping in their 1-0 win over Brighton. Pete, great to have the footy back, particularly here in Australia, and look forward to catching up with you at long last sometime soon.
Well, Sunday night I think you're coming back, and it'll be months since I've seen you, so I look forward to seeing you. Well done, James. Thank you, mate. Next in the news, the new way Australian researchers are detecting cancer risk, and Nathan Cleary facing quite the clean-up.
It was a more than $60 billion wipeout yesterday, and investors were licking their wounds today. Our market managing to rebound just 39 points. Major stocks were mixed. BHP lost ground after paying out its dividend, and the Australian dollar is back above 70 US cents, but slipped overall today. But attention was on new household spending data, which showed a pretty slow January. Money was flowing towards essentials like health and away from things like furniture. But the most interesting part was the official data on cigarette sales. Here's what it looks like, but economists don't believe it. It looks like pretty much no one is smoking anymore, but the ABS says it's not capturing the shift to illicit purchases. In other words, the criminal tobacco industry is getting a lot of the money, but we don't know how much.
Thank you, Chris. A new wave of scammers posing as overseas officials are targeting migrant communities, threatening them with extradition and arrest. And as Annalise Bolt reports, victims have already lost tens of thousands of dollars to the ruse.
This scam starts with a phone call from someone claiming to be an embassy official or a police officer. And police say multicultural communities are the target, including Chinese, Vietnamese and Indian Sydney-siders. Victims told their passport or personal information has been found on an individual arrested overseas, then threatened with extradition unless they pay up. In the Inner West, a 26-year-old man lost $27,000 to someone claiming to be a Vietnamese police officer, told there was a warrant for his arrest for money laundering. Two separate incidents in Fairfield netted a 45-year-old woman and an elderly couple aged 87 and 77. In both cases, the scammers claimed to be from the Vietnamese embassy and repeatedly threatened their victims. The couple ended up paying $17,000, the woman $57,000. Here's the advice: do not share financial information over the phone, do not respond to threats, and hang up immediately.
Annalise, thank you. Melbourne researchers are developing a tool that uses artificial intelligence to predict breast cancer risk in Australian women. While AI has been used previously to improve cancer detection in mammograms, this new approach generates risk scores that can predict a patient's likelihood of developing cancer in the future.
1 in 10 women that had a breaks risk score in the top 2% of the population cohort that we tested went on to develop breast cancer in the next 4 years.
The technique is being trialled in breast screen clinics in Victoria and South Australia. Well, it's been a nightmare off the field for Nathan Cleary today. The kitchen ceiling collapsing in his Sydney home. The Penrith halfback taking to Instagram in search of a magician to repair the damage. Nathan purchased the Riverside home in 2023 from his father, Ivan, for $1.7 million. She's devoted decades of her life to treating people with cancer and finding new ways to fight the disease. And last night, Professor Tracy O'Brien was honoured for that work. The Cancer Institute CEO awarded the state 2026 Woman of the Year.
We've got some of the best cancer outcomes in the world, but there's so much more work to do.
The award celebrates trailblazers, role models and quiet achievers across a range of industries. A special category was also devoted to the next generation of female leaders. Coming up in our news, Kate with the weather.
Thanks, Pete. With these hot and humid conditions, we could still see some storms develop tonight, but right now the skies are looking pretty clear. The temperature is 24 in the city, 29 in our west. I'll have the forecast after this. It was a humid day, but we didn't see much rain, just a sprinkle across our suburbs. Temperatures were around 3 or 4 degrees above average. Most suburbs reaching 29 or 30, 27 at Terry Hills, but the humidity felt oppressive. The dew point, which measures moisture, sitting at around 22 to 24 degrees. In fact, it's barely dropped below 20 degrees in days. It was mostly dry across the rest of the state too. However, we did see some isolated showers develop across the Southern Highlands and Blue Mountains this afternoon, and we could see more storms over the next few days as a low pressure trough combines with tropical moisture. Up to 60 millimetres of rain possible by Saturday morning. Tomorrow, an active monsoon and lows across the tropics will deliver scattered showers and storms, heaviest over northern Queensland, while those showers and storms will extend over eastern New South Wales as well. Showers easing in Brisbane tomorrow, 29 degrees, partly cloudy in Canberra, a top of 30, and some cloud about in Melbourne too, 24. Get used to those summer storms. An inland trough is sending a few more across New South Wales over the coming days. However, a cooling southerly change moving up the coast will hopefully flush out some of the instability we've been experiencing. Partly cloudy in Newcastle tomorrow, 31 degrees, The shower 2 forecast for Wollongong, 26. Here in Sydney, we are expecting a sunny start tomorrow with the chance of showers or even a thunderstorm in the afternoon or early evening. Light southeasterly winds easing off later in the day. After an overnight low of 22, the city is expected to reach 29 degrees. Similar across our suburbs, around 30 degrees forecast for most places, 31 forecast for Penrith and Richmond, 27 at Cronulla. Looking ahead to the weekend, we could see some showers or storms developing on Saturday, 29 degrees. Cloudy on Sunday, and we could see some more rain, up to 20 millimetres forecast at this stage, 25 degrees. Showers easing on Monday, 26, and warming up again by Tuesday, partly cloudy and 28. Overnight temperatures remaining warm too, around 18 to 23 degrees. Our west could also get some showers and even a possible storm on Saturday, a welcome southerly, cooling things off on Sunday. Temperatures dropping back into the low 20s before some warmer but hopefully less humid weather later in the week.
That'll be nice. Kate, thank you. Ali is next with a current affair. That is 9 News for this Thursday. I'm Peter Overton. I hope you have a good evening. From all of us, good night.